Is Christmas a miracle for the economy or a drain on the public purse? Beyond the tinsel and good cheer, the festive season triggers the largest annual spending spree, creating a multi-billion-dollar economic surge. But this surge carries a hidden price tag for governments and a cruel pressure for citizens. We are not just buying gifts, we are activating a massive temporary fiscal engine that generates record tax revenue while simultaneously increasing the costs of public safety, social services, and infrastructure strain. We will dissect the complex financial duality of the Christmas season, from the unexpected deadweight loss of gift-giving to the stark social divide it illuminates. This analysis requires us to look past the holiday veneer and examine the true cost borne by the public purse. 1. The fiscal duality, revenue surge versus expenditure, strain. Christmas generates a unique and often contradictory fiscal moment for national governments. The influx of revenue is undeniable, acting as a crucial budgetary stabilizer in the final quarter. In major Western economies, retail sales can jump by over 50% between November and December, often representing 20% of the entire annual retail activity. This translates into a substantial immediate VAT or sales tax windfall, which is then used to shore up national treasuries and sometimes fund unanticipated end-of-year projects. Moreover, the massive seasonal hiring across logistics, retail, and hospitality injects wages back into the economy while temporarily reducing unemployment claims, increasing payroll tax receipts. However, this commercial success is immediately offset by surging government expenditure. The extended opening hours, crowded high streets, and large public celebrations necessitate a costly increase in public safety and emergency service staffing, predominantly through expensive overtime pay. Local councils are also forced to ramp up services, including waste management and maintaining strained public transport networks. More subtly, governments often legislate or implement Christmas bonuses or special grants for pensioners and low-income families, like the UK's long-standing Christmas bonus, which, while socially necessary, represents a direct and non-recoverable expense from the public purse. The government is essentially paying more to manage the very consumption boom that is generating its revenue. 2. The business engine and the paradox of deadweight loss. The festive period is the ultimate proving ground for the business sector, creating a vital economic engine that supports employment and corporate tax collection. For major retailers and e-commerce giants, Q4 results dictate stock market valuation and future investment strategy. Their success ensures large, predictable corporate tax contributions. However, the true economic impact of this consumption is complicated by the deadweight loss principle. Pioneering work by economist Joel Waldfogel showed that up to 1/3 of the value of gifts is effectively wasted because the recipient values the item less than the purchaser paid for it. This collective deadweight loss, calculated in billions, represents economically inefficient spending. Governments, therefore, are collecting massive tax revenue on spending that is, in part, economically suboptimal. This inefficiency is further complicated by the challenge facing small businesses and the high street. While large online platforms thrive, with up to 60% of festive purchases moving online, local shops often struggle to compete with price and convenience. Governments must provide targeted incentives or subsidies to support the high street during this period, recognizing that its collapse affects property taxes and local employment. The business engine runs hot, but it runs on both efficient profit and an immense amount of potentially wasted consumption. 3. The cost of living crucible, amplified financial pressures. The celebratory season acts as a crucible where the financial joy of consumption meets the harsh reality of the cost of living crisis, a struggle amplified by finance, energy, and transport costs. Firstly, the festive period aligns with peak winter, making the increased cost of domestic heating and energy unavoidable for households across the Western world. Increased energy usage from lighting and heating family gatherings exacerbates utility bills that are already strained by high global energy prices. Secondly, the cultural pressure to spend, with average household costs rising by over 30%, forces a dangerous reliance on consumer finance. The use of high-interest credit cards and buy now, pay later (BNPL) schemes surges, creating a massive financial hangover in January and February. While BNPL companies benefit, this debt pressure ultimately increases the long-term burden on government-funded debt advice services and regulatory bodies. Thirdly, transportation costs skyrocket as millions travel to reunite. Governments often face pressure to regulate fuel costs, subsidize rail travel, or manage congested infrastructure, leading to both high citizen expenditure and increased public operational costs during a critical maintenance window. 4. The stark social divide, a celebration of inequality. Christmas is a powerful magnifier of existing social and economic inequality, illustrating a profound difference in experience between the rich, the working class, and the forgotten. For the rich, the season is characterized by high discretionary spending, elaborate travel, and tax-efficient giving, generating tax revenue without demanding significant public services. For the working class, it is a period of maximum financial tension, often requiring painful trade-offs between essential utilities, heating, rent, and social obligations, gifts, leading to increased debt risk. Most acutely affected are the forgotten and the poor, who rely heavily on government or charity-funded safety nets. Local councils and welfare services see massive spikes in demand for food banks, temporary housing, and emergency heating grants. For this segment, Christmas is often a time of intense emotional and financial distress, directly increasing the expenditure of the public purse on humanitarian support. The stark visibility of these differences, the lavish parties versus the crowded soup kitchens, creates potential social friction and emphasizes the government's failure to provide a fundamental social floor. Even the elderly, who receive state pensions and potential bonuses, become a burden through high demand for essential and very costly public healthcare services. 5. The geopolitical and infrastructure stress test. The mass movement of goods and people during the festive season acts as an annual stress test for national logistics and critical infrastructure, with implications that can extend beyond borders. The massive volume of cross-border e-commerce puts pressure on customs, ports, and international trade agreements, requiring greater vigilance against counterfeit goods and fraud. Domestically, the overwhelming demand for rapid parcel delivery highlights deficiencies in national road and rail networks, requiring emergency state investment or regulation to maintain service quality. Furthermore, the holiday creates unique security vulnerabilities. Increased crowds and high-value transactions raise the risk of large-scale crime, fraud, and terrorism, necessitating enhanced national security and surveillance measures funded by the public purse. The geopolitical angle emerges in the reliance on global supply chains for the very goods being consumed. Disruptions, such as port strikes or energy crises abroad, can immediately manifest as empty shelves and higher prices, exposing the fragility of a consumer economy dependent on international stability and forcing governments to potentially intervene to stabilize supply or prices. 6. The path forward. Policy for a joyful and sustainable Christmas. The complexity of the festive economy is immense, but the challenge is manageable. We must shift the focus from merely reacting to the spending surge to proactively fostering sustainable consumption and financial resilience. Sustainable consumption policy, Governments should use tax and incentive structures to encourage a shift from low-value, high-waste physical goods, deadweight loss, to experiential gifts, durable goods, and charitable giving, ensuring the resulting tax base is more sustainable and ethically aligned. Financial resilience initiatives mandate and promote state-regulated Christmas savings clubs and integrated financial literacy programs to help the working class budget effectively, reducing the reliance on high-interest credit and minimizing the post-holiday debt burden on consumers and social services. Targeted preemptive support. Implement effective means-tested cash transfers or utility bill credits for low-income families in early November. This preemptive measure mitigates the acute pressure of heating and gift costs before it spirals into debt or emergency reliance on public funds. Digitally optimized public services. Invest in AI-driven crowd monitoring and predictive policing to efficiently manage public safety risks during peak periods, reducing reliance on costly and often inefficient overtime staffing across municipal services. Small business infrastructure. Provide targeted, time-sensitive grants to local small businesses for investing in e-commerce and logistics solutions, enabling them to compete effectively against large online retailers and preserving the local tax base. Healthy aging focus. Increase spending on preventative healthcare campaigns in the fall to ensure the elderly population enters the high-risk winter period healthier, thereby reducing the immense pressure and cost burden on the public healthcare system during the holidays. The Christmas season is an undeniable expression of global economic activity and human generosity. By adopting these resilient, proactive fiscal and social policies, governments can harness the economic miracle of the season while fulfilling their fundamental ethical duty. We can ensure that the public purse benefits without leaving the most vulnerable behind in the cold. May your season be filled with peace, prosperity, and the joy of shared experience. Happy holidays.